Hi everybody, it's Melissa, your plantita abogada here at Tasteful Nodes, coming to you today with a which is which video. So in this episode, I will be explaining to you the differences between the Easter cactus, the Christmas cactus, and the Thanksgiving cactus. Before I get started, I hope everybody had a great spring break or Easter. Spring break and Easter in that case. That's exactly what actually spurred this episode. Is by the time you're watching it, we've just passed Easter 2023. And being that my Easter cactus is blooming right now, I was like, okay, maybe it's a good time to discuss this, right? These guys are epiphytic cacti, and they are normally confused for each other. So this is a good episode if you have any questions about which kind of epiphytic cacti you have. So before we get started, let's go through our disclaimers. Number 1, KKB tayo, kanya-kanyang bayad. For our Western friends, it means we each pay our own way. These are some great collection plants and they come in a variety of colors, so I won't blame you if you decide to collect these. However, we don't spend our rent money, okay? Don't come after me because I ain't paying any plant child support. Number 2, I'm not an expert by any means, and any information I share with you here is going to be based on my own personal experiences and observations. I'm a lawyer by profession. I'm not a horticulturalist or a botanist, so any factual information I provide you, I'll provide the source on the screen as well in the description box down below. And then number 3, find the experts in your area who've dealt with these plants. I mean, it's great that I'm able to provide you some general information as provided by the experts, right? Don't forget, they're in the description box and I'll be putting on the screen. But for specific information to your area, you want to find the people in your community who actually raise these plants. They could provide you information such as pricing of these things in your area, how to care for them, where to find the best media, how to make the best media. Yeah, so these are the people that you want to find for specific information to your specific area and growing conditions. Fantastic! So epiphytic cacti are some of the most favorite household hanging plants. I mean, if you've been in any plant communities on Facebook, you've seen these huge epiphytic cacti that have been passed down, from generation to generation. I mean, gosh, I can't remember how big or how old the last one I saw was, but it was gigantic. It was huge. And I think the lady said it was passed down to her by her grandmother. So, yes, they last a really long time if you care well for them. Here in the Philippines, they're often generally mistaken for each other, and there's a collective name for it here. They call them crab cactus, right? So when you buy one of these things, if you're looking for a specific type, I mean, you're kind of out of luck because crab cactus for everybody. But you're kind of in luck today just because, this subject was brought on by Easter, my little Easter cactus. Anyway, there are 3 kinds of cacti that I'll be sharing with today, and let's get started. This is the first one. I think we should start with the earliest holiday. The earliest holiday that just passed. Yeah, there we go. I think we should start with the earliest holiday that just passed. This is a Schlumbergera truncata, and it was named after a Belgian botanist. His name was Frederick Schlumberger. Pretty cool, huh? Have a genus name after you. The truncata part actually refers to square edges, I think. And I'll go ahead and zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about when I refer to truncata. So these guys are pretty neat. As the name says, Thanksgiving cactus, they generally bloom around Thanksgiving time. They come in a wide variety of colors, purples, pinks, whites, orange. Yeah, you name it, they got it. So the main 2 differences that you'll see between this and the other 2 is that the leaves for the Thanksgiving cactus are actually spiny. So not spiny in the way that a cactus would be spiny and would poke you. This is actually spiny, like you can see the appearance of spines on the sides of the leaf, but the leaves are flat, so you don't actually feel anything either. And yeah, super soft. It's just the appearance of spines. And the spines are on the sides as well as on the tops. And that is pretty prevalent across all Thanksgiving cacti. That's what you're going to see, are the spines. So as soon as you see spines, it's a Thanksgiving cactus. Another difference between this and I would say the Easter cactus are its flowers. The flowers for the Thanksgiving cactus and for the Christmas cactus actually come out tubular. I guess a good way to describe it, since I don't have flowers right now, is if you imagine the scene from Alien with Sigourney Weaver. Remember that scene where the chest burster comes out of the guy's body? Yeah. That thing, right. The thing that comes out of that guy's mouth too. That big thing. So it's a tube. The flowers come out tubular. So you have one part and then you have another part that actually has another flower on it. So tubular. I mean, it's such a weird thing to connect to, but that's what my brain is thinking right now. So yeah, tubular flowers for the Thanksgiving and the Christmas cactus. Now this guy is a native of southeastern Brazil. And a really cool fact about this, and I'm assuming for all of these, just because they're all located in Brazil, is that when their flowers bloom, their pollinators are hummingbirds. How awesome is that? It's just such an awesome little fact to throw out, you know, at a family gathering or something and you have nothing to say. So the next cactus on my list is the Christmas cactus. So we're going by the holidays that just passed, right? Easter hasn't passed just yet for me, so we're going that way, backwards. So the Christmas cactus is this guy right here. And this guy right here, but we'll go ahead and use this guy. The Christmas cactus can either be one of two things. It can either be the Schlumbergera russelliana or the Schlumbergera Buckley. I love it. I remember Jeff Buckley. So anyway, the Schlumbergera russelliana is quite rare in cultivation. So what you do see being sold in the supermarkets, grocery stores, Walmart, are hybrids, which is a hybrid of the russelliana and the truncata, and it becomes the X. Buckley, right? Now, with these guys, their distinctive feature is that they do have like the appearance of spines, they're just barely there. I mean, they barely stick out, but they are not as, I guess, spiny as the Thanksgiving cactus is. But considering that the Thanksgiving cactus is one of the parents, you could see that appearance on its leaves. It still has those jointed leaves, right? And I mean, it's such a voracious grower. It really is super easy. The flowers have the same range of colors. I think there are over 200 cultivars when I last checked. I mean, that's just amazing. There's so many of them. So the Christmas cactus is the one that has a lot of different varieties and different colors on top of that. It does retain the tubular flowers that the truncata, that the Thanksgiving cactus has. But I mean, lots of different colors, different foliage, another collectible plant. And if you notice this guy against this one, that's why I had to pick it up. I had to just get it. So yeah, differences in shape, but pretty similar in terms of the what is that called? The spines coming out, but a softer spine when compared to the Thanksgiving cactus. And if you're looking at that thing and you're just like, what's going on with it? Why does it look like that? I'll get to that in just a second. So just check my notes, and I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. It's called the Christmas cactus because it blooms around Christmas time. So we're looking at winter before, after Christmas, around that time, generally. Now, let's go talk about my friend Easter. Easter is not a Schlumbergera. Well, not right now, it isn't. So when you do research about the Easter cactus, you're going to come across a few names for it. But as of today, its name, and I'm going to go read this because I don't want to get this wrong, is Ripsalidopsis gaertneri. 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 Let's go back to calling it Easter cactus. So, the Easter cactus has gone through a few names. I mean, the Gaertneri part remains the same. However, it's been referred to as a Schlumbergera Gaertneri as recent as 2011, I think. And it was also called a Hatioria Gaertneri, and it was also called a Ripsalis Gaertneri. The thing is, When it comes to names, I always go to the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew. Hands down, they are the experts. They are the people that we go to. Now, according to Kew, they are accepting the scientific name for the Easter cactus from the World Checklist of Vascular Plants. So, for now, it's a Rhipsalidopsis Gartneri. The Easter cactus, as you can see, is referred to as the Easter cactus because it blooms around Easter time. Yeah, it's pretty neat, the science behind it actually, and we'll get into that in just a second as I talk about general care. But the Easter cactus is just different from the other two. It really is. The way it feels also, it's I can't describe it. I mean, these guys have a harder, stiffer leaf, just slightly harder and stiffer. Yeah, definitely. These guys, not so much. I mean, it feels like the leaves are thinner. The veins in the middle are a little bit more prominent. For these guys, the most defining characteristic, or the most defining characteristics, because there are two, are the scalloped leaves. There is no indication of a spine like these guys, or slightly like these guys, but definitely like these guys. Very, very, very scalloped, right? Very, very pleasing. Sometimes you have a margin on it, and when that happens, you get a bonus because you get this beautiful darker margin around the leaves. Mine have a purple margin around the leaves. It's just really pretty. The other defining characteristic are these flowers. So it's not fully opened yet, but they're going to open up like daisies. Really symmetrical, really, really pretty, and just one layer of flower compared to the tubular layers of flowers that these two have, where you've got this one set of flowers and then you've got this tube coming out that has another set. Remember the chest burster? Yeah. So the Thanksgiving and the Christmas cactus both share that characteristic as far as flowers are concerned. The Easter cactus does not. Very, very pretty cactus. Definitely a favorite. So now that I've got that part done, let's go ahead and talk about general care. Remember in the beginning where I said that these guys are either lithophytic, meaning growing on rocks, or epiphytic, growing on trees? Yeah. So in either case, that means that these guys prefer well-draining media. There needs to be good aeration when you have your media because of the rocks and the trees that these guys stick to. With that being said, you could use a variety of media to make that happen. Like for this, I have this in a mix of some garden soil and some rice hull. Yeah, I do. Over here, I have some wood bark, wood chips, and some leaves, and a little bit of garden soil and rice hull mix. More rice hull than anything because I want it to be well draining. Same thing over here with the media, very, very light. I mean, it can blow away. It's light. Right? So you want a lighter media, you want something that's well draining, and when it comes to well draining, let's go ahead and flip over to watering needs, okay? So watering for these guys, I typically water every other day, but that's because I'm in my summer months here in the Philippines. It's really hot. It goes really fast. When it comes to watering, you're going to want to water when the first inch or two is dry. These plants are relatively forgiving when it comes to being underwatered. They're not too forgiving with being overwatered. So they don't like sitting in muddy soil, muddy media. They will make you regret it. Which brings me to sunlight also. They're actually really easy plants to care for indoors. They actually prefer, in my experience and from what I've read online, they prefer shady light as well as bright and direct light. So here under our porch, we have a translucent roof. They do well here. This is the bright and direct light that I'm talking about. Behind me, you see a giant mango tree. I have some of them there, some of these guys over there. They're doing great. Yeah, really, really good. What you don't want to do is give them too much sunlight because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to explain to you what happens. When you give them too much sunlight, this happens. See this? So the leaves start turning a little pale. They get a little bit yellow. You don't want to expose them to too much sunlight. I mean, it's pretty as far as the veins are concerned because of the sun stress, but it's not good for the plant. So keep them in your bright and direct light or your shady light, okay? Let's go to propagation. Propagation with these guys is super easy. You will actually, it's fun because earlier, before I even started filming, I was looking at them, you know, trying to see how I could show this to you guys. But they actually have aerial roots in between the joints. So these guys are most easily propagated by cuttings. So you take a cutting, keep the aerial root involved, put it in maybe an inch of dampened soil. So dampened, not soaking wet, right? And treat it like you would treat the other guys. Yeah, and they grow super easy, I promise you. I've heard that they can be grown from seed. I have not done that yet, so I won't comment to it. But if it can be grown by seed, why not try, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about repotting. Repotting for these guys, I would not recommend because they do tend to give out flowers more often when they are a little bit root bound. So repotting is going to take a few years, you know, maybe 2 years. I've seen some websites say 3 years. We don't want to do that. We want to keep those roots nice and tight, but we also don't want them to be strangling themselves. So maybe a pot that's an inch bigger all around compared to your root ball, maybe an inch or two. Yeah, that would be good. Nothing much bigger than that, okay? Finally, I just want to talk about flowering because this is another fascinating part about this plant. In order to activate this plant or to get it to flower, you're going to actually have to shorten its days. So that's why you don't see these guys flowering during the summer, because we have longer days. Once fall and winter comes, we get shorter days. So the number of hours vary according to website, according to experts. The lowest amount of hours I've seen is 10 hours, the most is 24 hours. So 10 to 24 hours is what they're saying these plants need in terms of darkness. It's a cycle that gets them to start budding before they bloom. So you want to go at least 12 hours of shortened days. That's what we experience here on the farm during winter time, fall and winter. Shortened days by 10 to 12 hours of darkness. And they could still have light, but do keep it at a minimum. So you would want to go for the shaded areas as well. Along with the shortened days, the Thanksgiving and the Christmas cactus will normally start budding after 6 weeks roughly of shortened days and cooler temperatures, whereas the Easter cactus takes its dear sweet time and buds about 8 to 10 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks after the shortened days start. So yeah, that is why, I mean, even though they start their short days and cooler temperatures together, that is why this guy takes longer and blooms around Easter. It's because of its growth behavior, budding behavior. Now, with that being said, this guy takes, 8 to 12 weeks is what I said, right? Meaning it'll only bloom once a year. These guys, the Thanksgiving and the Christmas cactus, given the same shorter conditions, they may just bloom twice a year because it only takes them around 6 weeks of short days to bud. So another 6 weeks will be just in time for the Easter cactus, and you might have all your plants blooming at the same time. How awesome would that be, huh? And that is it for this epiphytic cactus episode. I hope this information helps. I hope you're able to pass your epiphytic cacti down to your children and to your children's children someday, or to your favorite nieces and nephews, okay, if we're going childless. More power to you. In any case, if you have any tips that I did not cover, if you have any questions that I did not answer, please feel free to leave all of that down in the comment section. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to give this video a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel, turn on that notification bell so that you get notified of my future episodes, right? In case you miss me during the week, check me out on Facebook. I'm there as Tasteful Nodes. But if you just want to look at pretty pictures or videos right before you go to sleep, check me out on Instagram as well. I'm there as Tasteful Nodes. Okay guys, until next time, sa uulitin, keep your notes classy and tasteful. Bye.